So I'm gonna come down here again today and let the chickens out. I've noticed that a lot of folks have really enjoyed me letting the chickens out. YouTube's not too happy about it, but I don't know. They really want me to talk about firewood. But when I let the chickens out, people really tend to watch for a long time. So it defies logic. I talk about firewood, nobody watches for that long. And YouTube says if they don't have good watch time, they're not going to promote them. Yet, I let the chickens out, it has really good watch time, they don't promote them. It's the exact opposite of what they say. I'm feeding them some corn. As you may know, I've been feeding them some corn so they'll fatten up for the cold winter months. I figured it'd be cold by now, so I've been feeding them for probably, I don't know, 3 weeks. I've been coming down, I've been giving them half of a coffee can full of corn. Corn is very fattening. We're going to give it to our pigs also when it's like a month before butcher time. It'll fatten them up. Here's Two-Face. She likes me feeding her. I got to pick her up the other day. She let me pick her up. So Two-Face is the silver one. We don't have a name for the golden silver one. So we'll feed corn to our pigs about a month before we butcher them. That way they get a good layer of fat on them. And it'll be in November time frame, so it's not too terribly hot on them. The reason we want to fatten the pigs up, of course, is because we'll get all that lard. And the more lard we can have, you know, it's great for cooking eggs and just all kinds of things. Carolyn's using lard for everything. We're trying to get away from vegetable oil. We're trying to really get into a more carnivorous diet and less of a carbohydrate diet. Corn is big in carbohydrates or sugars. So, you know, it's hard to make all these connections when you're talking about food. They've said that vegetables are good for you for so many years that you just kind of start to believe it. Okay, I'm supposed to be a vegetarian. You know, that's just the way you kind of get programmed. And so when you eat meat, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the bad person here. I'm eating unhealthy. I'm going to die. Well, freedom, you know, all that stuff. But then when you really start doing research, you realize they've been lying to you. Corn is terrible for you. It's very fattening, and they put it in everything. Pastas and breads. It's just in everything. And then we can't figure out why America is obese. We can't figure out why they're so unhealthy. It's because they're telling us in order to be healthy, you have to eat very unhealthy foods. Making the connection, my grandpa used to always feed pigs, mostly corn, right, you know, a month before butcher time. Why? Why are you doing that? Well, you're going to fatten them up. But then we eat corn and wonder why we're getting fat. Well, it's because we're eating corn. It does the same thing to humans as it does pigs. Now, the other day, I was talking about, we have all this rice up here. We have tons of rice. Now that we're starting to realize that we're wanting to get off the vegetable diet, you know, what are we going to do with all this rice? Well, we're going to keep the rice. And in case something bad happens in our economy, we can use it as kind of a filler. Although you're still eating unhealthy, at least you're eating. That's what we're thinking. It's going to have sugar, it's going to have a quick bit of energy. We only use rice probably 3 times a month as it is now. So somebody asked the question, well, why don't you feed the chickens the rice? And it was a very good question. As a matter of fact, it took me a while to talk to Carolyn about it, look it up. Is there any reason why we can't feed rice to the chickens? And the reason is because it doesn't have any protein in it. Chickens need protein to make eggs. They also need calcium. So we actually have chicken food that is high in calcium. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, 16% protein. It doesn't matter. And so that gives them everything they need to produce an egg. Egg layer food is what it's called. So if we just gave them rice, or even just put rice into their food, they would really start to hamper their ability to make eggs. They may even stop making eggs. Well, then it got me to thinking about the corn. Am I hurting the chickens with the corn? Although now I don't feed them a lot. Like I said, I only feed 14 chickens half of a coffee can each day. They're still eating quite a bit of protein from their food. But the thing is corn has the same effect on chickens as the rice would. It's going to slow down their egg production. Okay, so let's do this. Let's save some money and just give them the rice that we already have. Well, it's not saving money. Rice is very expensive compared to the corn, the cracked corn. And the thing is we're not going to feed the chickens rice for very long. Just about a month, get them a little bit of body fat on them, and then we'll just go back straight chicken feed. But it's kind of incredible what can make animals sick. When I was growing up, yeah, Grandpa gave the pigs everything, just fed them everything. But now they're doing a lot of studies, and we're realizing that we shouldn't have been doing that. You know, mad cow disease, trying to go back in memory, I didn't do a lot of research on it, but trying to go back in memory what caused that, it was because we were feeding cows. So they were getting mad cow disease from eating themselves. Well, they've been doing it for years. We stopped feeding cows to cows. Well, you gotta be careful when you're doing that. One of the things I learned was that with pigs, we're gonna have all these eggs. So we're trying to decide, do we want to just feed the pigs eggs, or do we want to sell the eggs and buy more pig feed with it? Which is the latter thing is what we decided. We're gonna sell the eggs because we can get $3 a dozen for them. Within, I don't know, 2 or 3 dozen, we'll be able to actually pay for a bag of food for the pigs. The eggs themselves are gonna pay for the food costs, not only of the pigs, but the chickens. All summer, we won't have any food costs for our livestock. But when we were doing the research, we found out that you can't give pigs raw eggs. It can actually give them a disease that could kill them or even be transferred into humans. So you got to be careful with all that stuff. Anytime you're wanting to do something different with their diet, you really need to look into it. Chickens, for example, there's this grass that grows over here. I forget what it's called. Daylilies. I guess it's daylilies. Maybe it's not grass. And they love coming up here. You can see it right here. Whatever this is that's growing, this is why I try to keep them out of this area. I've talked about this before, but whatever this is can make these chickens sick, yet they eat it. Why are they eating it if it makes them sick? We haven't had too many problems with them yet, but over the summer when that was tall, I thought, oh yeah, man, look at that, they love that stuff. And I was letting them eat it, and then Carolyn said, don't let them eat it. She Googled it, and sure enough, it was bad for them. And so we just try to watch everything that we're feeding our animals. We don't want to make them sick. We want good egg production. So I try to keep them out of all that stuff. And a lot of people say just let them free range. Well, I'm not too sure I want to with all the things that can make them sick. These are important to me in order to be self-sustaining, these animals. Or more self-sustaining. Gotta be careful what you say. And there is something by this tree that they really love. I mean, they just digging this tree up. Now walnut, this is a walnut tree. I don't want them damaging the walnut tree. That's why I'm not letting them near that. Because they'll dig that up, I think, and it'll just fall over. But that one there, she just loves whatever's around this walnut. Walnut trees, just kind of keeping with the theme of what's poisonous to animals, walnut trees can be poisonous to plants. So the diameter of this tree, all the branches, you come out, I don't know, 10 feet. So from here to the walnut tree is a poisonous area. You can't plant your gardens here. It'll kill the garden. So over here I had a walnut tree where I've been cleaning up next to the garden. I had a small one that was growing. I didn't want to cut it down because walnuts taste good. Carolyn and I have been having a blast with our walnut trees this year. And I've made several videos and even a short video about our walnuts. So, but the problem is it was going to grow into the corn garden. It was going to throw all that poison into the corn garden. We wouldn't have gotten any corn. Right here is the walnut. So if you ever cut a tree, a lot of people ask this question, how do you know it's a walnut? Well, I've gotten where I can identify them now, but you can see the dark color. If you sell that, you can make pretty good money on it if you got the way to transport it. If they come and collect it, they're not going to give you much money for it. So that's why I don't transport it, because once you get all the transportation costs involved, you're not making anything of it. So the wood itself to me is more valuable as firewood. But I want to get back to the corn. So we're going to have this huge corn garden. Now I'm starting to regret this. We bought a lot of corn, peaches and cream corn. Look at that chicken. She is really involved in whatever's in there. Maybe she won't hurt the tree. I'll let her stay there. Well, now I don't know if I want the corn. We're going to go ahead and plant it. We're going to go ahead and grow it. We'll probably eat it. It's not that bad for us. I mean, we've been eating it for years, so just go ahead and, so we don't waste the money, go ahead and plant it and grow it. The key to this is the pigs will want the corn stalks. That'll help us reduce our cost even more. So now we have the eggs buying the pig feed. We'll have the corn stalks that they'll just chew right up. And the chickens like the corn stalks. That's all free food that the pigs will enjoy. But this will probably be the last year we'll grow a corn garden. We'll focus on other things. Squash. We're trying to replace our pasta. And so the other day, of course, I'm not a big vegetable eater. I'm just not a big fan of it. So Carolyn went ahead and made squash spaghetti. She used sausage, some squash, and something else, green and yellow. And it turned out really good. I was really surprised how much I liked it. Now, for me, I don't like cooked vegetables. The only thing I'll eat cooked is green beans, maybe some spinach. I like spinach. You know, Dad and Mom raised me on spinach, and I've taken to that. I can eat that. But pretty much anything else, broccoli, cauliflower, squash, all of it, if it's cooked, I don't like it. So Carolyn is very careful not to overcook vegetables for me. I really appreciate the effort she put into cooking for me. She's really kind to me when it comes to cooking. So, but it was crunchy squash in the spaghetti sauce with sausage. It was delicious. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So just get it past the mental, vegetable spaghetti, and it was great. So we're trying to get, past that psychological barrier. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people is, ooh, I don't want that. Like eggs. Carolyn is trying to put integrate eggs into every meal. And people are like, why? No, you can't eat that many eggs. That's terrible. I wouldn't want to eat that many eggs. But once you get past the psychological barrier of it, it's fine. So getting back to the basics is we want to make sure that we're not poisoning our animals. We want to keep them as healthy as possible and producing as much as possible. See, they come back up to this area right here, to that daylily thing that's making them, that could make them sick. I got to keep them out of that. And it's interesting how they don't seem to care that it could make them sick. So I hope I can inspire you to thoroughly research your dream. Thanks for watching.